Hi friends, sorry I'm messing with my mic. I accidentally knocked it over.
She's being loud.
Almost done. And now this thing's not wanting to stay up. Okay, now we're good. Sorry. Hello. Hi guys. Hi friends.
How are you?
How's your week? Like we say every week. Hope everything's kosher.
I guess.
Debbie Downer in the house, everyone. I'm getting tired. It's not even
Me
that late.
too.
It's only 8:15.
It's my usual. It's not Wonders of Weird if Brittany's not yawning in 70% of the episode.
Right.
Yeah, it's late. It's not even 8:30. Imagine if because normally we would be maybe like
1 to 2 episodes in,
yeah,
maybe.
if that. We've even started this late.
Yeah. Well, it was nice to get going a little bit earlier this week.
It was still daylight outside.
Yeah.
Willow's been sleeping.
And farting.
You were here for the last episode. So, this week, we are going back into our spooky episodes, spooky state episodes, and we are coming at you with spooky Alaska, which I've heard was difficult to write.
I for sure. I was like, as much Native American history as there is there's a ton of history in Alaska. I was like, there's got to be a ton of material. No, girl. No, I struggled.
Alaska was like, no, we ain't messing with none of that.
It's too cold.
Yeah.
The ghosts don't like the cold.
Don't want to live up there.
There was some, but there wasn't a lot of meat
that
to it.
That reminds me. Every episode I bring up a TikTok I've seen. So this girl was like, I think she was a teacher, and no, it was not a TikTok. It was a real life experience, and I hope she's okay with me telling this story because it was Rachel. One of the other teachers she works with was like, a comment was made about Alaska being so cold, because it's by Canada. Yeah. And the teacher was like, what are you talking about? I thought Alaska was by Hawaii.
Is she geographically challenged like you?
And everybody else is just looking at her like, what? Why do you think it's so cold? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, because it's on a map next to Hawaii.
Like your friend said this?
No.
Oh,
this was another teacher.
A colleague, okay.
Yeah. And then later on, another teacher was like, I didn't want to sound stupid, but I thought the same thing. So,
that public education.
Right. Publicly educated people teaching your publicly educated children.
Christ.
Oh.
Anyways, so we're going to get right on in this. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, I'll let you start. You
All
got
right.
the fun stuff.
I don't know about that. So the first spooky place I'm going to talk about is Denali National Park. Now, some of these stories are quite interesting. One of them kind of has been disproven, and I'll tell more about that, but they're good. They're all right. What I got was pretty good. But Denali National Park, Denali meaning high one, is one of the most sacred places on the North American continent. This park is home to Mount McKinley, which is 20,320 feet tall. Athabascan natives believe that the mountain is home to the Sa, who is the sun shaman, master of life itself, and legends of magic and mystery on the mountainside date back centuries. Modern day believers say that the site acts as a transmitter of cosmic forces under control of the Great White Brotherhood. This is a belief system that is said to house perfected beings of great power who spread spiritual teachings through selected humans. Members are also known as Masters of the Ancient Wisdom. the Ascended Masters, the Church Invisible, or simply the Hierarchy. This would be another good topic to look into as an episode idea later on, the Great White Brotherhood. It's also said that in Inuit legend, there's a mythical creature that roams the wild, unexplored areas of the Denali. It is called the Keelut creature, or Kikern, sorry. This beast is spoken of by many Inuit tribes from Alaska to Baffin Island in Canada. Apparently, this monster resembles a massive, hairless black dog. It can access both the physical and spiritual worlds, and it has a fierce physical form endowed with magic. It preys on lonely travelers and unfortunate souls that have lost their way off the beaten path. So if you decide to go venture out into the wilderness, stay on the path, because this massive hellhound looking something is going to come after you. The picture that I saw was fearsome. Like, it was just, it was terrifying. The next one is the Gakona Lodge and Trading Post. It was built in 1900 with additions built in the 1920s and 40s. This area is chock full of history. The older buildings are home to a poltergeist who enjoys opening and closing doors, locking doors from the inside, jumping on beds, playing with stereos, among many other pranks. If you are lucky, while you are there, you will catch a whiff of tobacco smoke from a non-existent pipe. It's been reported that you can hear disembodied voices and steps or footsteps as one will in a haunted location. But the best time to catch some of the action is apparently during the evening hours in the lobby and in the 9 upstairs rooms of the lodge. No one has ever been able to identify the ghost responsible. Iliamna monster. Iliamna Lake is not just a great place for fishing and boating. It is the largest lake in Alaska and the second largest freshwater lake in the U.S. But, while out boating, be aware of your surroundings. This lake is said to be home to a 60-foot-long serpentine creature. It was first spotted swimming near the surface of the water in 1929 and has been sporadically spotted ever since. In fact, several people saw it on September 7th of 1975. Just like we refer to the Loch Ness Monster as Nessie, the locals have named it Illy. Outside of the sightings, there have been no physical evidence of Illy's existence. Even Animal Planet's show River Monsters went out to see if they could find out the truth about what is lurking below the lake's surface. The host, Jeremy Wade, is guessing that they could possibly be seeing a great white or a huge white sturgeon. But with it being as long as it says it is, I don't know that it could be a huge white sturgeon.
Oh, that is an ugly fish.
A sturgeon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're not like, they're
not
big.
They're not 60 foot long. And I saw articles that stated that it was even longer, but you know, fishtails.
Gosh.
What?
An adult one can be as big as 990 pounds.
Yeah. They're massive. Can you imagine hooking into one of those?
Your pole would break.
I struggled one time catching a 5-pound bass. Like, never thought I was going to reel it in.
Oh, wow. So, in the wild, there's only 1,744 of those left.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's because they're big game. Like, people go
They have
and
a
search for
mild,
just those.
delicate flavor. Yeah, because if there's one thing about humans, we will put anything in our mouths. Have you seen...
I didn't know where that was going.
Like...
It wasn't there.
I saw a video of, like, a sea urchin. Somebody was, like, ripping apart to eat. And I was like, you couldn't just leave that? Like, you don't have to put everything in your mouth.
Ugh.
Or, like I talked about on a past episode, the Galapagos turtles.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
People using them for soup. And I was like, you could have just left them.
Right.
And now they're like, I don't know if they're extinct or if they're like endangered. But they're probably extinct.
Save the turtles.
Yeah. Because people were, whalers in particular were.
If you learn nothing else from this episode, save the turtles. My notebook even says that. My podcast notebook. Anyway, moving on. The next one is Eagles Hall. This is now home to the longest running theater production in Alaska, the Days of 98 show, and a more malignant spiritual presence. This building was built in 1899. During business hours, you will find the place loaded with can-can dancers, catchy tunes, and tourists. Once the show is over and all of the living people have gone home, the place seems to feel a tad different. In 2001, a woman by the name of Charity Pomeroy began her story with the Eagles Hall. She noted the tradition that the owner of the current owner of the place was that would, hold on, let me try that again. She noted that tradition was that the owner of the place would habitually buy a shot of whiskey for the resident ghost. She thought that it was just absolutely crazy and nonsense, but that was until she had her first run-in with the entity. She was in the back of the dark theater, headed to the stage to reset her props for the next day's show, when she saw a mass of darkness that was unexplainable. The darkness moved straight across the theater. 20 years after seeing that, she still gets shaky talking about it. She still feels unsettled when she's alone upstairs. She is noted feeling pressure, like the feeling of get out, without the words. One particular night, she stated that she had shut herself in the office, and then when she turned around, the door was open. She shut the door again, making sure that it was securely shut, and when she walked away, she heard the door swing open again. She closed the door once more, only to have the door slam open before her eyes. She ran to see if maybe she could blame windy weather, but it was in fact not windy at all. The ghost is described as a malevolent male presence, and has now decided that maybe buying whiskey shots may not be such a bad idea after all, and maybe then, if she starts doing that, they can be friends.
Maybe.
This next one, the Golden North Hotel. This hotel is home to two entities. First, in room 23, images of a woman have appeared, and guests have said that they were woken up in the middle of the night to the feeling of being choked. This ghost, nicknamed Mary, or more commonly known as Scary Mary, is believed to be the spirit of a young lady who died of pneumonia in her room while waiting for her fiancé to return from a gold prospecting expedition. The second entity is in room 14. This entity is noted as being a light form that moves around the room at night. There's no known explanation of who or what that represents. However, upon further research of this, I found that the great-granddaughter of the original owner states that the stories began as a way to make more money, and that the hotel was not even a hotel at the time of the gold rush. She even goes further to state that her wedding dress was borrowed to stage photos of Mary.
Oh, wow.
So, you make your
I
own.
mean, there's a lot of places are unfortunately like that.
Yeah.
Where they make up a story. It's like
I feel like there's also power in that. Like, you can tell a story so much before, like, things start to actually Yeah.
happen. It's like that episode of Supernatural with Ghost Facers.
Ghost Facers.
Where they totally made up a ghost story, and then because of that, it made it real.
Yeah. I love Supernatural. Okay, so the next one, the Mulville Hill House. This is a beauty of a house. It was built in 1904 by W.H. Case, who is the co-partner in the Case and Draper Company, which was a popular photographic store. After 10 years, William John Mulvihill and his family moved in. William had just been promoted to chief dispatcher with the White Pass and Yukon Railroad. William, his wife Nellie Susan Smiley Mulvihill, and their daughter Gertrude lived there happily from 1914 to 1949. William was very dedicated to his job and kept a telegraph key in the home so that he could work from home if need be before he retired in 1942. He died a short 7 years later, and his wife followed him in death later that year. The home has been owned by numerous families over the years until it was finally purchased by the city and restored in 1980. The city has used it as a temporary meeting place and headquarters for the Skagway Chamber of Commerce until a new building was constructed. It is now a private residence, but it has been noted that William still roams these halls. Doors open and close by themselves. Heavy footsteps are heard going up and down the stairs. Sometimes you can even hear the sound of a telegraph key clicking away. I suppose that old William loved and was so dedicated to his job that he continues it in the afterlife. I've yet to find a job that I feel like I'm going to continue doing in death.
Yeah, I hope to not be... What would I have to do so bad that I would be doomed to do my job even after I am dead?
Right.
What kind of personal hell is that?
Your particular job. Now, if it's a job that you like absolutely enjoy, oh hell
I mean,
yeah.
I actually like my job. I enjoy, but it's like sometimes it's a stressful environment. It's a stressful working environment. There's only 3 of us, but we don't get along. We do sometimes, but
and 2 of them live together.
Yeah, 2 of us live together. Most of our fights are about he'll be standing there and he'll look at me and I'll say something and he'll, well, I would have heard you if you would have faced me, and I'd be looking directly at him. Pisses me off.
You know what that reminds me of? Anna, look at me!
Yeah. But yeah, I got so mad yesterday I started at him. It was just the 2 of us working. I just put an earbud in and then started straightening up t-shirts. So I don't even want to look at you.
You should have taken your glasses off. I don't even want to look at you.
He wasn't anywhere near me. I was up at the front of the building.
Anyway, the last story I have is the Red Onion Saloon. Now, this does not sound like a fantastic place, just based off of the name. Now, it could be that it was fantastic, and per this story, it was. The Red Onion Saloon was constructed in 1897 as a whorehouse. I love that. I love that term.
Yeah.
That was such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Socially accepted term. Nowadays, you say the word whore, and everybody's like, and gasping and grabbing their pearls.
Well, a lot of it's because people are just like, don't slut shame. And I'm just like, boo, you whore.
Cat, you almost fell.
She does that all the time.
Jesus. Anyway, this was a 2-story building with dark trim, or a white 2-story building with dark trim and a storefront window. The first floor was and still is a saloon. The second story had 10 small rooms that they called cribs, where madams would entertain their quote-unquote guests. There were 10 dolls behind the bar, which represented each of the ladies on the second floor. If a doll was laying on its back, it was an indication that she was quote-unquote working upstairs. Likewise, if it was sitting upright, then she was available. Despite it being what some may call a place of ill repute, it was in fact one of the classiest dance halls in town. Business did begin to slow as bigger dance halls were built and the clientele was lured elsewhere. The saloon was also used for other things through the years, adding to its rich history. It was once used as army barracks, a bakery, a union hall, a laundry, a TV station, and a gift shop. Now, given this colorful history, one can only guess that there would still be some residual activity there. Lydia is a spirit there who once was one of the prostitutes. Her footsteps can be heard on the second floor, and she has even been spotted watering the plants. Actually, there have been many instances of this being seen, and the hostess would find later that the soil in the plants was in fact damp. The smell of strong perfume has also been reported, followed by extreme cold spots where the perfume had originated. There was actually a report that there was a disturbance so great on the second floor that the police were called to check. As they started up the stairs, they saw a figure believed to be Lydia running down the hall into the former madame's room. Once the police entered the room, they found nothing, but there was no escape from that room for any earthly intruder to use.
Shit.
So, like I said, there wasn't a whole lot on Alaska. Anything that I found was like a story with zero meat. Here's a ghost, or here's a place that there is a ghost where there's noises and no one knows what it is. That was about it, really and honestly.
Which is why I'm going to tell you about some of the laws in Alaska.
Which were pretty...
I've been staring at this picture of an eel the whole time you've been talking. Because you're not allowed to eat eels in Alaska.
What about eel sauce? I love eel sauce.
For a state whose motto boasts that they are the last frontier, one might be inclined to think that law and order would be somewhat absent. Nothing could be further from the truth. Laws at the state level in Alaska are in abundance, just as they are in every other state in the Union. And laws passed by the state legislature in that state can quite possibly exceed the levels of weird established by some other states. For example, a state statute forbids whispering in the ear of another while they are hunting moose. Another weird law makes it illegal for a person to eat a live eel in a public place unless the person loudly announces, "Warning, idiot eating live eels." I mean, why would you want it to be alive?
Right.
Breastfeeding in public is legal, and in parentheses it says, as it should be. However, if the child is more than 6 months old, the mother faces a fine.
You're not going to tell me how old. See, that irks me. Personal story, when I had Easton. When I went back to work, I was breastfeeding Easton. When I went back to work, I would pump. Well, like, they didn't give, like, I literally just had 2 15-minute breaks and a 30 for lunch. And that was the only time I had to pump. So, like, if I had to go to the bathroom or I wanted to, God forbid, eat on my lunch break, sorry.
Right.
Because pumping is not a quick thing. Well, when I asked my supervisor about it, because, you know, you're supposed to make
reasonable accommodations.
Right. For the situation, he addressed somebody from HR about it, and then she came down to speak to me and asked me how long I planned on doing it. And I said, well, for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And she said, well, this can't be a long-term situation. Excuse me?
It's messed up.
I will do it for as long as my child will do it. Like,
right.
So, and because of my short amount of time that I was allowed to pump, my supply dried up, and I wasn't even able to do it for very long after I went back to work. So,
yeah. That's messed up.
Equal rights for women.
For sure. Thinking about taking a great photograph of a sleeping bear? Before you snap a selfie, make sure you don't wake it. Because while it's not against the law to be mauled to death by a bear in Alaska, it is illegal to awaken one for the purpose of taking a picture with it.
Okay.
Men who might wish to remove all their clothing in Alaska will be disappointed to discover that a state law disallows men to be totally nude. Thank God. We need that here.
I mean, what are you supposed to do? Like, even in your own home?
Turn the lights off.
You gotta take a shower.
In the dark.
Are they stinky? They shower with their clothes on?
I don't know. They cannot be totally nude.
We don't have any listeners in Alaska thus far, but if you know anybody from Alaska, let's ask them.
But hats count as clothing, right?
What?
Can you leave your hat on?
Then you can't wash your hair.
I don't know.
Greasy
nerd
people.
What if you just like put on like shower shoes, like flip flops?
Hey.
Does that count? Should the snow in your neighbor's yard tempt you to steal, remember that it's illegal to swipe snow from next door for the purpose of building a snowman. but stealing it to build an igloo is totally acceptable.
What if you built a snowman-shaped igloo?
I'll allow it. If you are planning to take an airplane ride with a moose, be sure that you don't toss the poor creature out of the aircraft. That is against the law in Alaska. And if you are in a plane, there is a law that forbids you to look at moose that are on the ground. Also, no moose is allowed to have sex on city streets. State law.
What? How do they enforce that? I need to know.
The powers that be decided that it is illegal to intentionally avoid walking on the cracks that are in paved surfaces. Oh, your poor mother's back is what this says.
I can't. My kids would be imprisoned real quick. They think that's funny.
Let's see. So at a more local level, so the city code in Anchorage won't allow more than 3 people to ride in the front seat of any motor vehicle. This city will also cite you for living inside of a trailer or mobile home as it is being moved on city streets. And in Fairbanks, you'll get into some legal trouble if you feed beer to a moose.
Moose just want to have a good time.
Yeah. If you are planning on visiting the town of Nome, better leave your bow and arrows at home. The law here won't let you carry them in public. Who's carrying a bow and arrow in public? Besides Robin Hood.
It's possible.
The same law won't allow you to carry a slingshot either. Just so you know, in case you wanted to shoot anybody with rocks. In Juneau, you cannot take your pet flamingo into a barber shop or beauty parlor.
Who has a pet flamingo in Alaska?
Well, it says this one really makes you wonder what event predicated this law even being considered.
Wow.
While visiting Fairbanks, be forewarned that you could get fined for being too loud. Should the volume of your voice make another person leave a public space, you could find yourself with a ticket. I know several people who would be fined, for sure. This same law will also get you into trouble for blowing a horn too loudly in public. Like, you can help what the manufacturer set your horn tone to.
Right.
Business Insider reveals that in Alaska, it is illegal to be inside a bar or tavern while intoxicated. So if you get drunk, you have got to go home. Servers and bartenders get special training so that they can recognize the levels of drunkenness of patrons. And just in case you might be thinking that this is an old law that isn't enforced, guess again. As recently as 2012, officials in the city of Anchorage sent in plainclothes officers as part of a sting operation to catch drunks in what could be argued as their natural habitat. Let me see, what else do we got? I don't know what that means. In Juneau, buildings that preserve scenic vistas are awarded bonus points by the government. So, development which is designed and sited on land in such a way as to preserve scenic vistas visible from public spaces may be awarded bonus points. And that was effective in 1988.
All right.
It is against the law in Haines to attempt to break any law in Title IX of the Code, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare. It shall be a violation for any person to attempt to fail to obey or comply with any provision of Title IX offenses. So in Alaska as a whole, it is a state policy that emergencies are held to a minimum and are rarely found to exist. So don't have any emergencies.
Right. Oh, I chopped my hand off. That's not an emergency.
Right. In Anchorage, no person may drive a vehicle when there are more... Oh, we already said that one. When there are more than 3 people in the front seat, including the driver. Saw those. It is illegal in Anchorage to string a wire across any road. So putting glass or debris on the street. No person may throw or deposit upon any street any glass bottle, glass, nails, tacks, wire, cans, or any other substance likely to injure any person, animal, or vehicle upon such street. Any person who drops or permits to be dropped or thrown upon any street, and then it cuts off.
So what about police officers? Are they breaking the law when they use spike strips?
I don't know. I don't imagine that there's a lot of need for spike strips in Alaska.
You don't know.
But, yeah, I don't know. We've seen those. No one may tie their pet dog to the roof of a car in Anchorage. Carrying animals on outside a vehicle. No person driving a motor vehicle shall transport any animal in the back of the vehicle in a space intended for any load on the vehicle on a street unless the space is enclosed or has side and tail walls to a height of at least 46 inches. I do agree with this one. I don't think this one's stupid because the amount of dogs that jump out of the back of pickup trucks around here.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Persons may not allow attractive nuisances to occur. An attractive nuisance is really any object that will attract a bear, so such as garbage. By discouraging bears to come around, dangerous human/bear interactions and expensive bear relocation and or shootings are limited. Okay. Also, to tie back to the one of not being able to be drunk in a bar, employers of bars must not let their bartenders serve while they are drunk themselves.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah. A person, and this is also in Haynes, a person may only carry a concealed slingshot if that person has paid for the appropriate license, because it would be considered a concealed weapon.
Okay. Sorry, kid, you don't have a permit for that.
State law in Alaska, eating a neighbor's baby is strictly forbidden.
I would hope so.
What circumstances occurred as to why this law is needed?
I mean, I bet I can tell you, but
like, I don't know. And that's it. That's all of them.
Well, so, should you guys know anybody that lives in Alaska, we need more material for the next go round of this state.
Yeah.
Or we may have to be forced to skip it.
Or we can just talk about Alaska.
We could.
I've never been.
I haven't.
I want to go on an Alaskan cruise so bad.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just not down. I'd have to go through the... when it's like daylight 24/7.
Yeah.
I feel like that would
weird, but
mess me up.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind visiting.
Yeah.
I don't want to live there.
No. That
Well,
reminds me of that movie with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock with Betty White. You haven't seen it? What is it called? The Proposal? It's so good. I love that movie. Anyway, so I have our nonprofit for the week. This one I thought was really cool. It is specific to Alaska, but it is a really cool situation. It kind of does. I'll explain why it clicked with me so much. It's called Austin's Compassionate Enterprises. It's the ACE Lending Closet. It is Alaska's largest durable medical equipment distributors, providing adaptive equipment and supplies to the medically infirmed community within the state of Alaska. So basically, what it is, they collect and then redistribute all types of medical equipment and supplies. Things like wheelchairs, crutches, canes, like patient lifts to help them get out of bed, shower chairs, toilet chairs, feeding supplies. Like if you've got like a G-tube, like a feeding tube, breathing items, things like, accessories and things to go with oxygen equipment or CPAP machines, all kinds of things like that. Basically what it is, it literally started out as just a closet, but it's now grown to be a large barn, 8 Connex containers, so like the big shipping containers, and 3 car garages in size and still growing.
Oh, wow.
So basically what it is these like if you monetary donations, they can purchase the things, or if you've got equipment that you're no longer using, you can donate it. Basically what happens, you donate the stuff, someone needs something, but they can't afford it. Insurance doesn't pay for it, which is a huge thing. Yeah. I personally have worked in this industry of the billing and, the insurance side of durable medical equipment. Insurance isn't always going to pay, and getting insurance to pay for these types of things is like jumping through hoops. Yeah. There are so many stipulations, so many ways that you have to get to, get the things to get certain conditions you have to be able to qualify for these. And it really is, it's a tough situation, and these things are really expensive. Yeah. So, somebody's out there can't afford it. They don't have insurance, or their insurance isn't going to pay for it. They can go. They can sign a waiver or release of liability prior to checking out this item. They take it home. There's no time limit on how long they can have it. They keep it. So, hospital bed, for instance. Your mother's been put on hospice and that you need a hospital bed, but insurance isn't going to pay for it. Yeah. So you go and you borrow one. You've got it for the duration of how long you need it. Oh my God, she is so cute right now. Hold on, I have to take a picture. Oh my God. Anyway, they go get it. They keep it for as long as they need it, and then once you're done with it, you return it. Yeah. Like I said, there's no time frame, but it does have to be returned for redistribution. You can't sell it. Yeah. But everything is, there's even new equipment there, used, refurbished, all that, and it can be given to anyone. There's no qualifications. Cool. Yeah, that's cool. There's no hoops to jump through to get it. So right. I thought this was a pretty cool situation. Yeah. It is something that I think the world needs more of.
For sure, because there's nothing worse than being sick and or old in the United States.
Right. It's a tough life out there for those that need the equipment and don't have access to it. I mean, even if your insurance, say you've got oxygen, your insurance pays for the oxygen, but they only allow so many refill tanks a month. Right. Then you're kind of responsible for the remainder. Right. It's tough. But, so yeah, that was that. Austin's Compassionate Enterprises. I know that there's a story behind it as far as what the name is, but I'm actually not seeing it on the website. Oh, wait. It might be under this tab that says Austin Story, but it's not there. It says that they are trying to... It says, as you may have already imagined, the story about Austin's compassionate enterprises came to be as a tragic one, to say the least. So please be patient as we construct this page and work to find the words to relive the horror. So, but yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool deal. So I thought I'd share it with you guys.
Well, that was a good one. So...
Who are we telling?
Who are we telling?
Your turn, because I've come up.
Tell your Amazon driver. They gotta have something to listen to in their little trucks.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
Yeah, tell your Amazon driver and give them a bottle of water. It's hot outside.
It is. Unless you're in Alaska, then it's probably not.
Yeah, it's probably not so hot up there.
But they're probably still thirsty, so.
Yeah. Doesn't Amazon even deliver in Alaska?
I don't know. They gotta have something.
Yeah. I'm sure they got a UPS or something. Anyways.
Anyway.
Follow us on Facebook.
Instagram.
X. That's not ever gonna get less funny.
I know. Facebook. TikTok.
Email us.
wanderersofweird@gmail.com. Send us your spooky stories.
Yeah.
Episode topics.
We're about to get into the thick of it in spooky season. When this episode goes up, I think we will be at the tail end of September.
Yes.
And we will be moving into prime spooky season in October. And that's when shit will get real.
Strap in. Strap in, folks.
We have some fun surprises planned.
Do we?
Yeah, we got one. Because I don't think I want to say until it's ready for viewing.
Okay.
Or listening. Because we don't do anything you can view. But yeah, that's what we've got for this week's episode. And
hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah. We will
see you next time. I have to pee. Okay, bye.
Bye.